All right, let's set the scene. It's 1923. We're in a dark hotel room in Cairo, and inside, a very wealthy British lord is fighting a fever, literally struggling for his last breath. This right here is where one of history's greatest mysteries really begins. And then, at exactly 1:55 a.m., it happens. He's gone. Lord Carnarvon, the guy who bankrolled the biggest archaeological find of the century, is dead. But get this, at the exact moment he dies, something else happens. Something really weird. The entire city of Cairo just plunges into darkness. Total blackout. And when people ask the officials what's going on, what caused it, they've got nothing. No explanation whatsoever.
And if that wasn't strange enough, at the very same moment, thousands of miles away back in England, his dog, Susie, just lets out this single howl and dies. Now, all of these incredibly eerie events, they happened just a few short months after Carnarvon did something pretty extraordinary. He opened a 3,000-year-old tomb. And this tomb, well, it came with a warning. A pretty terrifying one, supposedly carved right into the stone for anyone who dared to wake the sleeping pharaoh. Yeah, this was the line that sent chills down everyone's spine. It was supposedly found right near the entrance to the tomb of this young, almost forgotten king named Tutankhamun. You can just imagine, the newspapers absolutely loved it. It was like a prophecy of all the doom that was about to unfold. You see, for 15 years, that's a long time, an archaeologist named Howard Carter had been digging in the sand, funded by the very rich Lord Carnarvon. Carnarvon was just about to give up, to pull all the money, when Carter's team, literally, at the last minute, found a single step cut into the rock. That step led to a sealed door, a door that hadn't been opened in over 3,000 years. And what was inside? Oh, it was beyond anything they could have imagined. Carter famously made a tiny hole, peered through, and when Carnarvon asked, "Can you see anything?" all he could get out was, "Yes, wonderful things." And he wasn't kidding. We're talking over 5,000 priceless artifacts, golden chariots, a solid gold coffin, even a dagger made from a meteorite. It was, without a doubt, the greatest archaeological find ever. But while the world was celebrating, something dark was starting to happen, something that would create a legend that lasts to this day. So Lord Carnarvon's strange death, that was just the start. The newspapers all over the world grabbed onto the story and ran with it. And pretty soon, it looked like a terrifying pattern was forming. It really seemed like the pharaoh's curse wasn't just a story, it was real. Think about this. In just 6 years after the tomb was opened, 22 people who were connected to it, some directly, some not, died suddenly. 22! It was like the curse was just ticking them off a list one by one. And the list just kept growing. It wasn't just one type of person either. We're talking financiers, other archaeologists, even relatives of the team. Every death just added another chapter to this spooky story of the pharaoh's revenge. I mean, it got so big that even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the guy who created Sherlock Holmes, the master of logic, he bought into it. He thought some kind of evil elemental was responsible. But then came the kicker, the thing that seemed to be the final absolute proof. When doctors did the autopsy on King Tut's mummy, they found something on his left cheek, a small mark in the exact same spot as the infected mosquito bite that killed Lord Carnarvon. I mean, what are the odds? For a lot of people, that was it. Case closed. The curse was 100% real. So let's recap. You've got an ancient curse, a whole string of mysterious deaths, and this spooky mark that physically links the pharaoh to the first victim. It's a terrifying story, and it's almost a little too perfect, right? So the big question is, was any of it actually real? Well, let's start digging into the actual evidence, because this is where that perfect story starts to completely unravel. Okay, first up, that famous warning, "Death shall come on swift wings." The one that was in all the papers? Total fabrication. It never existed. Not on a clay tablet, not carved on a wall, not anywhere. Turns out a journalist just kept pestering the team about curses. They never said yes, but they never said no either, and that little bit of silence was all he needed to just make the whole thing up. All right, so what about all the weird sicknesses and fevers? Well, you know what? There's a scientific answer for that too. When you seal a tomb up for 3,000 years, it can become the perfect breeding ground for some nasty stuff.
And sure enough, scientists later found a toxic mold in there, a fungus that, if you breathe it in, can cause really bad respiratory illnesses. And remember, this is way before antibiotics. An infection like that could absolutely be a death sentence.
And all those other spooky coincidences, yeah, they fall apart when you actually look at them. The citywide blackout in Cairo? Turns out power cuts were super common back then, happened all the time. Lord Carnarvon's death, the poor guy was in bad health for years already. And that matching mark on the mummy? That story was conveniently pushed by a rival newspaper that was ticked off because they didn't get the exclusive rights to cover the story. It wasn't fact, it was just competitive journalism. But honestly, the biggest, most powerful piece of evidence against the curse isn't about why people died. It's about who didn't die. I mean, just think about it for a second. If there was a real curse, who would be at the top of its hit list? Howard Carter, right? The guy who literally broke the seal and walked in first? Well, he lived for another 16 years. What about Lady Evelyn, Carnarvon's daughter, who was right there with him? She lived to be 78. And the doctor who cut open the mummy? He made it all the way to 87. Whenever people asked Carter about the curse, his answer was perfect. He'd just say, well, I'm still alive.
You know, in ancient Egypt, the absolute worst thing that could happen to you wasn't dying. It was being forgotten, having your name literally chipped off monuments. And that's exactly what King Tut's successors tried to do to him. For 3,000 years it worked. The world had no idea who he was. But then this wild, sensational story about a mummy's curse, a story invented by a journalist, made this forgotten boy king the most famous pharaoh who ever lived. So in the end, it's kind of funny. The curse, which was completely fake, gave him the one thing a real pharaoh wanted most: immortality.